Welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this wonderful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, or listening on Podbean, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the episode, and leave a comment down below. Spotify, if you're listening on there, share around with others, and follow on there as well. Podbean, if you're listening on there, share around with others, and follow on there as well. We have Facebook and we have Twitter. Twitter, it's at pigskin_frenzy, all lowercase. All I got to do is type that bad boy in on the search engine. You'll find it. Follow and like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. Facebook, same thing. All you got to do is type in Pigskin Frenzy, follow and like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. Thursday today, NFL schedule release is tonight. We're going to be breaking that down, and we're going to be tying in, it all in together, and just don't leave yet. So, I mean, it literally, it's, a good day to be a football fan. I mean, we had coming off the heels of the draft a couple of weeks back. Now we're getting into who's playing who. We're going to be talk about, break down some games in a minute, and we're going to talk about, who's playing who so far. The rest of the NFL schedule release is tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on NFL Network. So make sure you guys tune into that. It's going to be, a good night of football and just talking about, who's playing who. No one's actually playing anybody today. Obviously, it's the offseason. But, as we get closer to the, get closer towards those dates and get closer towards, off season and, OTAs and training camp, we're going to, get, prepared and get hype, for, a lot of these games. So I'm here to break all those down. Again, don't leave yet. Watch on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on each episode. Comment below. Follow and share around with others on Spotify and Podbean, and follow on Facebook and Twitter. So let's kick it off with the NFL schedule release. That's pretty much what we're going to be talking about today in this episode. Probably, not going to take up a whole bunch of your, time here, but we're going to, break, as much as I can down and what we have so far. Now, the dates have been decided, obviously. May 11th, there were some rumors where, okay, this is gonna get delayed. A lot of the games aren't finalized yet, but everything's finalized. You're just gonna wait until that time, 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific on NFL Network, to release the rest of the games. But like per usual, there's sources and there's journalists, and they're going to want some games to be released early. So we got some games that were released early. So yesterday, some, news broke on a bunch of other games, and, just give some games out early here and there. Not a whole bunch of games, but some important games nonetheless. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Giants, and the Giants play a huge part in this schedule release, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. I think they have the hardest schedule so far. Honestly, that's just, don't take my word for it. We're going to, this is per NFL Insiders Warren Sapp and Dan Bitton from Yahoo Sports. Great article. Go and read it. The Giants do have a tough schedule. I'm going to get to that in a minute, though. Let's talk about some games that have been released so far. So, a notable game is Week 13, December 3rd. We have the 49ers going up against the Eagles in Philadelphia. NFC Championship rematch there. It is a huge battle. I mean, we should expect 100% healthy Brock Purdy playing this game. A lot of the guys who, if they are healthy, can present a challenge to the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles, listen, the Eagles have had a tremendous offseason so far. They're already built. They already got guys like Jalen Hurts, who they re-signed into a massive contract, the second highest paid player in the league, only behind Lamar Jackson. He was the highest paid player in the league until Lamar Jackson eclipsed that. But nonetheless, they have Jalen Hurts back. They have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. They traded for Miles Sanders did leave, but they got two good running backs who replaced, the production that Miles Sanders put up. DeAndre Swift, that trade from the Lions, as well as Rashad Penny. They re-signed him through free agency. So Rashad Penny brings a speed and elusiveness, and DeAndre Swift brings a more power and balance. and acceleration after the catch. So that's really, really good. They got a 1-2 punch combo there going for Philadelphia. So if you break down the game, talented probably these are the two best teams in the NFC currently. You got the 49ers out west, the Eagles out east. They're going to collide, and we're going to have a good matchup. Should be a good football game. Again, not going to pick anything yet. Obviously, it's too early for that. But if you look at on paper, it should be one of the best matchups in the NFL season coming up this season. It's looking really, really good. The season does for the Eagles. That's a good matchup to keep an eye on in case, for both teams. So good matchup there. We also have the first official game opener. The defending champion, Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs will have a home game to kick off their season and to kick off the NFL season. Arrowhead, but then for the first time in 20 years, the Detroit Lions make their way to Arrowhead Stadium. So, what does this mean? Well, it means Detroit Lions are going to go up against a strong test to start off their season. So it's Detroit Lions at Kansas City Chiefs, September 7th on a Thursday night. So Thursday night football, September 7th, the only NBC Thursday night game that we got. And it's going to be on NBC to kick off the regular season. So the Chiefs against Jared Goff's Lions, that should be a very, it's one of those games where you look at it and it's like, okay, the Chiefs should be favored by 3 scores, obviously. But you think about it, and it's like, who knows? Anything can happen. We didn't expect the Lions to go 9-8. They were this close, guys, and I mean this close to making the playoffs. It was close. It was a close stretch. Obviously, the Seattle Seahawks made it in. They knocked out the Packers, and they knocked out the Lions. But the Lions were close. The Lions were very close. If the game would have been a tiebreaker, the tie would have gone to the Lions. So the Lions, were this close. Now, granted, they lost Jamal Williams and they lost DeAndre Swift, but they pick up a good running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, who should be the automatic starter now that those two backs are gone. So you got Jared Goff, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, you got Aiden Hutchinson on defense, you got Penei Sewell on the offensive line. You got some guys, man. You got some hungry guys and some young players who have had the experience from last season and, a couple of seasons prior to, pick everything up. So let's see what the Lions do against the Chiefs. I mean, it's going to be a tough task because you're going up against, like I said, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and the defending Super Bowl champions. News out of Kansas City. Kansas City Chiefs expect that the number 1 pass catcher should be Kadarius Toney. I can see that. Mecole Hardman went to the Jets, so I understand, where they're coming from on that. They picked him up for a reason. Also, Isaiah Pacheco had surgery, so we're going to see if he's ready to go by regular season and training camp. But nonetheless, it's still going to be a tough task. They're a talented team, talented defense. Let's see what Kansas City does in their opener. They should be favored, obviously, but the Lions, they could catch everybody off guard and by surprise. So let's see. That NFC North division, guys, in my honest estimate, is wide open. It's wide open because of the Aaron Rodgers trade. You got Jordan Love at quarterback for the Packers. You got Jared Goff at Detroit. You got Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, along with Justin Jefferson and out Jordan Addison in the mix. Then you got Chicago Bears, who were up and coming with Justin Fields at quarterback. That's a wide open race. I think anybody can take it, honestly. I think the favorites, if you look at it on paper, could be Minnesota. But if you look at it, Chicago could rise from the ashes or Detroit could rise from the ashes. What we got to see about Green Bay, and we got to see about how Jordan Love excels as a starter. So, I mean, we just got to look. We just got to see. But nonetheless, Detroit taking on Kansas City in the opener. Now, big news, another league game so far. The Eagles taking on the Chiefs in a Super Bowl rematch. Another game at Arrowhead. So it's in Kansas City. Eagles at Chiefs. Week 11, November 20th, Monday Night Football. It is going to be an electric crowd, obviously, Super Bowl rematch. We're going to get it started. Now, in the Super Bowl, let's break this down. The Eagles were winning that football game, okay? The Chiefs made a comeback, ended up winning the game. It was a big, big game for the Chiefs. And the Chiefs were playing good, but the Eagles were also playing good as well. So it was, an Eagles they're just playing well. And Eagles win for sure at first. They thought they had it in the bag. They kind of slowed down a little bit and took their foot off the gas in the third quarter. The Chiefs picked everything back up, came back and won the game with a field goal. Good win for the Chiefs there, and they won the Super Bowl off of it. So the Eagles are going to look for some revenge and some vengeance against the Chiefs. My estimated opinion, just don't take your foot off the gas against the Kansas City Chiefs, because they're sure as heck not. They are not going to take their foot off the gas. They're going to keep pushing and keep driving and keep going and you're just going to keep scoring points until they're going to beat you down until you quit. So you got to fight back. You can't quit you can't quit. You can't quit. You can't give up, and you got to fight against the Kansas City Chiefs, because that's what you expect when you play Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the rest of those Kansas City Chiefs. You got to fight. So the Eagles are going to have to come in. They're going to have to fight hard and try to pull out away with a win. So it's an away game for the Eagles. Home field advantage goes to the Chiefs, but talent on both sides of the ball for both teams. You got talent on defense for the Chiefs as well. And then you got talent on offense for the Chiefs as well as the Eagles. It was one of the highest grossing Super Bowls of all time, just in pure games. So you got to think like that. Alone should be a game worth exciting for and waiting for and tuning in on November 20th. It's a few days before Thanksgiving, ringing in like a pre-Thanksgiving treat right there. A Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and the Chiefs. Gonna be a good one. In my opinion, I honestly think that. So I'm mentioning the Chiefs a lot, but we're gonna keep going with the theme of the Chiefs here. The Chiefs are also playing the Jets on October 1st. Tune into that one. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers does against the Chiefs. They're also playing on New Year's Eve. And Christmas. So Christmas Day, they're playing the Las Vegas Raiders in a divisional rivalry matchup on Christmas Day. And then New Year's Eve, they renew their newly formed rivalry against the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes. 5 on CBS. New Year's, probably an afternoon game there. Tune into that one. It's a game that we're going to look forward to. An AFC Championship rematch there. You got the Black Friday game for the first time ever. We have the Jets versus the Dolphins. I'm very curious on that one. It's on Amazon Prime Video. If you have a subscription, make sure you get one, because that's going to be on there. First ever Black Friday game. Aaron Rodgers taking on the Jets, and it's going to be a home game for the Jets. It's going to be interesting. We'll see what the Dolphins do, against Aaron Rodgers' Jets. And not just that, it's funny because I think it was Christmas, around the holiday season, the Dolphins and the Jets, the Dolphins and the Packers rather, played each other. And it was, Aaron Rodgers played the Dolphins, which is interesting. Now, holiday season rolls around again. They're playing and Aaron Rodgers finds himself against the Dolphins again in a divisional matchup against Miami. So Black Friday game for the Jets and the Dolphins should be good. And let's see how Tua's doing. Let's see how that offense is clicking. Mike McDaniel is entering his second season as head coach of that organization. Good team last season, solid team. They made the playoffs, and unfortunately they lost to the Buffalo Bills. However, Miami put up a fight, and Miami was on the verge of upsetting those Buffalo Bills. So let's see. And here's kind of a point that I would like to make. So, the rest of the schedule will be released, but we already know a brink of what's happening, in the schedule. And I'm honestly going to say, let's just move on to the Giants for a second. And we're still on the theme with the schedule and just breaking down some of these games. But if you look at the Giants, it has been, difficult thing, for them. Difficult schedule. Tough loss to the Eagles, right? Tough loss to the Eagles in the NFC divisional round. They have a solid team. They have a good head coach. But, they're going to need some more help too as well. The schedule's not going to do them any favors. Before I move on to some of the other games that are going to be, already announced and are already happening, I'm going to break down some more Christmas games besides just the Chiefs and the Raiders. But let's just kick off the theme with the Giants here for a second, and let's just look at some stuff. So Dan Benton from Yahoo Sports came out with an article about how the Giants are facing the toughest stretch in the modern history of the NFL. I was curious. I was like, they surely not, but, no kidding. That's all I got to say. No kidding. I looked at it, and it's a tough stretch. So Dan Benton from Yahoo Sports. Go read the article. He's a great writer for Yahoo Sports. He quoted Warren Sapp, another NFL insider. Follow him on Twitter for Sapp Football. And it was interesting. So here are some stats for this. The Giants are the first team to be forced to play 7 road games in the first 10 weeks of their schedule. Hear me out. First 10 weeks of their schedule since 1990, since the NFL reinstated bye weeks. That's insane. Let me go on and tell you something, guys. That's a hard schedule. You got 7 road games out of 10 weeks. Oh, my goodness. This includes, and I'm not done. Don't worry. I'm reading it off here. I got some notes. So it includes back-to-back road games out west, along with games against the Buffalo Bills, the Washington Commanders, and the Dallas Cowboys, as well as the Miami Dolphins. The home games that they have are in week 1, 4, and 8. Let me repeat that. Week 1, week 4, and week 8. That is tough. Those games, week 1 against Dallas. The second game, the second home game, week 4, Seattle Seahawks. And then number 8, the New York Jets, even though they both play in MetLife Stadium. So it really wouldn't matter if the away team was the Giants, because it's still a home game. It's still, a home game for both teams technically, because they both play at MetLife Stadium. But you catch my drift. It's supposedly they're the home team in that matchup. But and then not to mention they got 2 holiday games as well. Christmas Day against the Eagles and New Year's Eve against the Rams. Some tough games. Some tough games there. That's a stretch. Okay? That is a stretch. I get it. They have some dogs, man. They have Kayvon Thibodeau on defense. They got Daniel Jones. So Saquon Barkley will be back. They got Sterling Shepard, man. They got a lot of receivers who, Daniel Jones can throw to and use. Man, let me tell you something. Daniel Jones is a good, solid quarterback, and he proved that last season. He proved that, hey, I'm not a bust. I am, a solid quarterback for this organization, and I'm going to prove that I am one of the top dogs in the NFC. And guess what? He was actually one of the top dogs in the NFC. Now, there's not a lot of competition in the NFC compared to Jalen Hurts right now, and Brock Purdy maybe, but Daniel Jones can come close. But Saquon Barkley's there. You got some good guys and got some good players, and you got some tools to win some of these games. But eventually it's going to crack, right? You're going to think, okay, who are they dropping a game to? They got to drop a game. That's too tough of a schedule to win all those games, right? So who are some of those games that you look at and think, okay, who can they drop to? I mean, they could potentially upset the Cowboys week 1, but that's a home game. They could potentially, upset the Bills or the Commanders, maybe. I mean, the Commanders, I think the Giants would be the favorite in that one. You got to pencil in that on the calendar, the Buffalo Bills, though. I got my pen here, so I got my imaginary board. You got to circle it in. So you got to watch out for that. That's going to be a tough game. While it's in New York, sure, it's a few hours up the road. You got to go up there and you got to an Orchard Park, and you got to play in an environment that could be cold around the time you play them, maybe. So the weather may be, a little on the, slippery side. Maybe it could be raining, cold weather, could be snow. Who knows? But it's cold up there, and by the time they play them, it may be cold. So that plays into a factor. And you're playing the Buffalo Bills. You're playing Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, and Devin Singletary, and you're playing Dawson Knox. You're playing all these guys, man. You're playing Cole Beasley. You're playing some dogs up in Buffalo. So it's, it's a solid organization, a solid team, one of the top teams in the AFC, and you're playing the second best quarterback probably in the league, could be, in Josh Allen. So he's one of the best in the league. It's hard. It's a hard and brutal schedule that the Giants have got to go through. My take on it is I think they could potentially lose that game to Buffalo. I think some games they may drop on their schedule, and there's going to be some games where I think they're going to shock some teams. I think the Giants have the team right now to shock some teams and win some games this season. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, put up a fight against Buffalo, but end up losing some of those games. It's a tough stretch, man. I mean, they're forced to play 7 road games in the first 10 weeks since the 1990 season where the NFL reinstated bye weeks. That's tough. Very tough schedule. That's probably the toughest schedule, in my opinion, for literally for anybody right now. I think that the Giants have the toughest schedule in the league. There was a lot of rumors saying that the Eagles had the toughest schedule, but here's the thing: the Eagles have a team that are built to probably win the NFC and to probably go to the Super Bowl again. So it's kind of hard to say. I think the Giants are still building up, and it's what better way to prove your build up than to battle the toughest schedule in the league. So let's just see what the Giants do. I'm interested to see this season how the Giants is gonna how they're gonna pan out. But that's why I wanted to break down this one. I think this was the toughest schedule so far. I think it's one of the honestly it is just the toughest schedule in the league, and it's just there's no beating around the bush with it. I mean, 7 road games in the first 10 weeks is just tough, man. That is tough, especially in the National Football League. So, yeah, I just wanted to break down some of those games of the Giants. Before we, close everything out, let's talk about some of these holiday games, mainly the Christmas Day games. We have the Giants and the Eagles. Like I said, that should be an NFC divisional rematch. I would assume that they're going to play before that, maybe because divisional opponents play twice usually. So I would assume they play before that. It's maybe their first time playing since the playoffs. I don't know. But the Eagles, last time we saw the Eagles and the Giants played each other, it wasn't good. It was a blowout, and the Eagles, dominated the majority of the game. Jalen Hurts played an outstanding game. The Eagles moved on to the NFC Championship to face the San Francisco 49ers. Heartbreak for the Giants. They only scored 1 touchdown. And Daniel Jones was fighting for his life out there. He was doing some good stuff, but the defensive line was too much for Daniel Jones, and they, garnered a lot of, pass rush attempts and sacks, and it was a good night for the Eagles. So the Giants are going to want to try to take some revenge on that. What better way to do it than, on Christmas Day? Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. So, good Christmas present for the Giants would be to upset the defending NFC champions and Super Bowl runner-up Eagles. So, you got that, and that's at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. And then at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific, you got the Raiders and the Chiefs on Christmas Day. That's a divisional game right there. That should be interesting. Las Vegas, Jimmy Garoppolo going up against Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. It's in Arrowhead, so that should be interesting as well. Then you got the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, who reinstated it, who renewed his contract, the highest paid player in the NFL, going up against Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers at San Francisco in Levi Stadium at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Christmas night. Good game there. That should be very, very interesting. I think that should be a closer game than most people think. I think the Ravens got the team right now to probably compete with the 49ers, but don't count out them 49ers, man. They got the team as well. I mean, you look at both offenses there, and they look solid on both ends. You got Lamar Jackson and his newly refound receiving core with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and Odell Beckham Jr. You got Mark Andrews, and you got J.K. Dobbins in the run. You also have, for the 49ers, you have George Kittle. You have Brock Purdy. You have Christian McCaffrey, you have Brandon Ayuk, you have Deebo Samuel, you have a lot of guys on that team that are talented. So it's like, this is one of those games where it could be who could have the ball last. I think those games are the most interesting games in football, and I think it's going to be a very interesting game for sure on Christmas night. That's basically all the leaked schedule. Again, we got some more games. I'll throw in one more. The Chiefs and the Packers are supposed to play a primetime game. I've been hearing a lot about the Chargers and the Jets playing a Monday Night Football game. Justin Herbert going up against the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football. That should be a fun one, I think, just to see where the two teams are at right now. Chargers made the playoffs. They were winning the game, and unfortunately, they suffered a heartbreaker against Jacksonville after Jacksonville made a late comeback to win the game. It was shocking because Trevor Lawrence threw a ton of interceptions. But it was a shocker nonetheless. The Chargers ended up dropping in defeat in that game in the first round of the playoffs, and then now they're playing the Jets, and the Jets are looking to, raise everybody's eyebrows and see, okay, where are we going to go from here? Either, playoff or Super Bowl or what have you, now that, Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check himself, is in New York. So that's a rumored game I've been hearing. Another rumored game I've been hearing is, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chiefs. And I've been hearing about, a rematch from the first round of the divisional round of the playoffs there. I would like to touch on just one more thing before we close out. The international games. The international games of 2023. They announced 5 international games, and one will be in Wembley Stadium in London, and it's the Falcons and the Jaguars. So that's game 1 of the international game. So the Falcons, Desmond Ridder, Trevor Lawrence, they're going to square off, and it's going to be in London on October 1st in week 4. Then you got in London, not at Wembley Stadium, at Hotspur Stadium in London, England, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, week 5, October 8th, another one. Jacksonville, you better stay in London because you're playing in London. You better stay in London. You're playing in London again. So Jacksonville's playing Buffalo in London. So Buffalo Bills, Jacksonville Jaguars in London. Then you have Hotspur Stadium again, and that's week 6, October 15th. The next week, you got the Baltimore Ravens and the Tennessee Titans playing again in London, 9:30 a.m. Eastern on NFL Network. All these are on NFL Network. So same thing. Then you got Germany coming in. So that starts off in week 9, November 5th on NFL Network at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. The Dolphins and the Chiefs. So the Chiefs are going to Frankfurt, Germany. Frankfurt Stadium in Germany is going to be an electric crowd there, an international game there. The Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, no revenge game at Arrowhead for him this season. It will be played in Germany. The last game, international game, is the Colts versus the Patriots the next week in week 10 at November 12th, Frankfurt Stadium, Frankfurt, Germany. I'm reading this, looking at this on my phone and reading on my notes. But the Colts and the Patriots, Frankfurt Stadium, Frankfurt, Germany. And that rounds out the international games of 2023. That one's on NFL Network. All these games are on NFL Network at 9:30 Eastern. And, they go from, the next week. The London games are like back to back to back. Then the, Germany games are back to back. So some good games there. International games, some good ones. I mean, I'm looking forward to that Chiefs and Dolphins game. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Colts are going to do, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the Patriots are going to do. And I think that's a very underrated game to see where two teams are at currently. So, I mean, you got Anthony Richardson. We'll see if he's moved his way into the lineup. You got Gardner Minshew now with the Colts. You also got New England Patriots to see what Mac Jones is going to do with new offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien. And you got to see where everybody's at. So I'm looking forward to those international games. I'm looking forward to the holiday games. I'm looking forward to some of the games I just mentioned there. So tune in tonight. The NFL schedule is going to be released at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on NFL Network. And just catch the rest of the schedule. And if you're a fan of any of these teams, make sure to tune in and watch and see where, who you're playing in each week. So we're out of time. Big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage and NFL schedule coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the episode, and leave a comment down below. Spotify, if you're listening on there, share around with others and follow on there as well. Podbean, if you're listening on there, share around with others and follow on there as well. We have Twitter and we have Facebook. Twitter, it's at Pigskin_Frenzy, all lowercase. All you got to do is type that bad boy in on the search engine. You'll find it. You'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. Facebook, same thing. All you got to do is type in Pigskin Frenzy, follow and like the page there. You'll get episode updates as well as news, highlights, and notifications from across college and NFL football. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday once again, going over the NFL schedule release and some of the league games that are already happening now. The rest of the schedule will be released tonight. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, once again on NFL Network. And just make sure to tune in if if you are a fan of any of these teams. So, college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy Tuesday. I'm Joel Norris signing off, and we will see you Tuesday for an edition of Pigskin Frenzy.